All right, guys, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about one of the most important factors in getting great results with spinal correction, and that is balancing your care. So, you've probably realized by now there's a couple things that kind of play into how we tie together your care. One would be the active care, the adjustments that we give. But obviously, of course, we have you do things before and after your adjustments, as well as quite a few things at home, depending on your situation. So, I kind of think of this like maybe laying a foundation, a sidewalk, or a driveway or something, essentially pouring cement. So there's going to be a couple steps to that. One, they're going to mix the cement and they keep that mixed up so that it's usable. Two, then they're going to pour that cement into a mold. And then three, they're going to let it dry out and solidify in the place that they want it to be. And so when correcting a spine, we have to go through kind of some similar situations to that. One, we have to make sure that the spine gets moving and it's mobile. And two, then we have to put it in the right place. And three, then we have to make sure it stays there. So that is what we accomplish with not just your adjustments, but your therapies in the clinic and the stuff you do at home. And that allows us to kind of ratchet our progress in so that your adjustments are building on each other, so that they're holding for a longer and longer period of time, and so that ultimately we can get those problems actually corrected. And a couple things to understand about those is if they're not balanced out, then we can run into problems. Now, part of that is my job to make sure that we're keeping those things balanced, but part of that responsibility is yours as well. So, for example, when somebody initially gets started, especially if their spine is particularly rigid, we have to be doing that home care more often so that the spine stays mobile. If it's not, then by the time I see you again for your adjustment, it's going to be harder to move it, or it won't move as, we won't get as progressive of an adjustment. The other thing to understand is that stabilizing afterwards, that's some of your home care, that's the marching with the head weights. If that doesn't happen, then we kind of lose some of that progress. So we put things where they need to be, and it's going to be more likely to slip away from us. What that then also means is that, so say for example, someone doesn't do their stabilizing. Well, we get their spine moving a lot, we adjust it in the right place, but it ends up kind of slipping out of place on a regular basis. It doesn't hold very well. Or say someone doesn't do any of their mobilizing or their warm-ups or their home care, then what happens is it's harder to get the adjustment to be as effective, and we're not really stabilizing anything because we're not moving as much, and so we're getting slower progress there. Now, ultimately, you could make up for that. I mean, we could adjust you every single day to keep things moving and in the right place, but that's probably not going to be plausible for a lot of people, and so ultimately, we want to find a good balance there. Also, we have to recognize that people have kind of different situations and when they come in initially. Some people have spines that are like granite. And what that means is initially, they're going to require a lot more mobilization to get the same results. Other people's spines are very flexible, very mobile, and in fact, I'm going to have to be more conservative with their adjustment, and we're going to have to do just extra time on the stabilization to make sure that things are balanced and that they're moving forward. So the balance is what allows everything to move forward. When things are disjointed there, when we're lopsided, that's when things really don't go like they should. A couple other things to consider, like, so for example, if somebody is not doing their stabilizing exercises, and maybe we are seeing them very regular, they're in intensive care with their adjustments and their spinal correction, but they are doing a lot of mobilization and a lot of adjustments, but they're not stabilizing. That is very common when people start to have things like muscle spasms, aches and pains that come up. They'll have, maybe they'll get one of these, kind of like the pain that goes down the neck, or into the shoulder, in the back, that sort of thing. And that's not necessarily a problem, it's just the natural result of that imbalance. And so, of course, always what I'll talk to them about is how often they are stabilizing. Usually that's when they tell me they're not really doing it. And I'll tell them, okay, well, we have a couple options. One, we can slow way down so that we balance everything out and don't get ahead of the lack of stabilizing, or we can keep everything moving and you can bring that stabilizing up to balance things out. But the important part is that we're all on the same page here. And so you can see kind of how that can affect different situations. For a lot of people, maybe their spine's really stiff and they're doing plenty of stabilizing, but they're not mobilizing enough. Maybe that means they come in and they just kind of grab their number and they get ready for their adjustment without warming up. And they say, well, I warmed up at home, or well, it doesn't, they just kind of discredit that. Well, again, so we're walking into that adjustment imbalanced there. We're not getting a good mobilization, which means the adjustment isn't going to be as effective. And also the stabilization doesn't have as much to stabilize because things haven't moved as far. Or maybe they do their adjustment and then they kind of skip out the door. Maybe they're in a hurry for whatever reason it is, but they say, well, I'll do my marching at home, or they just kind of skip over it. Again, that's one of those situations where we mobilized well, we adjusted well, set things into place, but we aren't quite securing that effort. And so while we want to be ratcheting our progress into place, we are not going to be moving taking as much ground, moving as far. So anyways, mainly I just kind of wanted to go through with you the importance of having all those components to your care. That's one of the things that really sets our approach apart from the rest. And one of the ways that you're going to see such great results, granted we keep things balanced, granted that you do your part, that we do our part, and together, we move things forward. If you have any questions or anything, let us know. We're here to help. And remember that when we take your updated pictures, of course, things get updated. Not just your home care, but your adjustment protocols. So I'll always be making sure that you're getting the best adjustment every time you come in. You make sure that you're staying consistent with your mobilizing and your stabilizing, all that home care stuff on your end. And before you know it, things will be in a totally different place. Your life will be different. And we look forward to being a part of that. Again, if you have any questions, let us know. But that's the mobilizing, stabilizing, and setting part of your care. And hopefully that was helpful to you.